Next on News 22, new legislation is forcing farmers to use less.
And if this is putting a lid on everybody, then there may be a lot of crops that won't be grown.
With droughts and wildfires scorching New Mexico all summer, will there be a shortage in Christmas trees?
And the big game is Saturday.
We're hungry and we're ready to go.
Hear more from the players and the coaches. News 22 starts now.
This is News 22, where news matters.
Thanks for tuning in to News 22, everyone. I'm Zach Rael.
And I'm Brandy Lacorn. 2 Las Cruces men are behind bars after a video showing them beating a 14-year-old girl is posted on YouTube. Police say Jimmy Lugo Jr. and Pedro Barazada are charged with child abuse and conspiracy. Police believe the beating was part of a gang initiation and the victim appeared to be a willing participant. The video shows the girl being punched, kicked, and stomped more than 80 times by 3 suspects. The third suspect is a minor and charges are pending. The girl in the video was taken to the hospital and treated for non-life-threatening injuries and for her face and head. Lugo and Barasa are being held on $40,000 bonds.
Today marks 30 years since the first reported case of AIDS. World AIDS Day commemorates the almost 30 million people who have died from the disease while celebrating strides made in eliminating it.
Fight for Magic Johnson and Mary Fisher and every man, woman, and child who, when told they were going to die from this disease, they said, no, we're not. We're going to live. Keep fighting for all of them because we can end this pandemic.
And we checked with the campus health center to see what kind of AIDS testing they offer students and faculty.
A regular blood test drawn from the arm, and it takes 1 day for the results to come back. It's $12 to have the test done here.
An update to a story we brought you yesterday. The New Mexico League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, is given the okay to participate in the trial next week for the state's congressional redistricting plans, but they are on a tight deadline. In a hearing yesterday, a state judge decided LULAC could present their plan for redistricting even though they missed the deadline, but they must get their court documents in by today. News 22 spoke with LULAC, and they say they have already submitted those documents and made their witnesses available for state attorneys before the trial starts on Monday.
And Monica's here with the first look at the weather.
Thanks, Zach. Well, what you're seeing here is a video of the wind taken earlier outside of campus. And as you can see, the winds are starting to pick up, but unfortunately, they're only going to get worse. Taking a look at our wind advisory map, you can see that those winds are making their way from the southeast to the west side, and they're going to be bringing winds to Las Cruces anywhere from 25 to 35 miles per hour. Now, as you can see here up in the highlands, we are going to be experiencing some snow for tonight, and well, we just want to take precaution for that. Now, as for our current conditions, we are seeing partly cloudy skies for today. 56 as our temperature right now. Our winds, like I said, are coming from the southeast at 15 miles per hour, but they're going to be picking up later on a little bit more. And humidity right now is 28%. Our dew point is 22 degrees, and our barometer is just below 30. Back to you, Brandy.
For Catholics, last Sunday marked the beginning of Advent, but this year it also brought the biggest change to Catholic Mass in 40 years. Every week, Catholics repeat traditional songs, prayers, and responses, but it changed this week when the Church adopted a new translation of the prayer book. The change comes 10 years after Pope John Paul II had the Latin prayer book retranslated. The Church says the changes will bring about a better understanding of their faith.
Invited dialogue, like why are we doing these changes? Why does it matter? On one level is an honest question. And I think it's asked us to question what we're doing, whereas before maybe we just kind of went in and went through the motion.
A lawsuit has been filed that questions the separation of church and state in New Mexico. Katie Berry got both sides of the story.
New Mexico residents.
Katie Berry, News 22.
Stay tuned. Monica Cortez will be back with a look at your national forecast.
And later, more than 150 million Americans drink a cup of Joe a day. Find out if it's helping or hurting you. More on that when News 22 continues. With the ongoing drought in New Mexico, farmers are worried about how they'll grow their crops. News 22's Chelsea Glaze investigates.
Rio Grande. Chelsea Glaze, News 22.
Irrigation officials encourage farmers to file a notice, even if they don't know if they will be able to meet the state's requirements.
And the Mesilla Valley pecan farmers say they are seeing one of the worst harvests in recent memory. Since there's not enough water, they're left struggling to make a good harvest. News 22 talked to a local farmer about the water shortage.
And the blooms didn't mature. And then we had that strong wind and it knocked a lot of them off. But it wouldn't have done any good because we didn't have no water. So the trees didn't produce no pecans, as you can see. All it does is get you mad. There's not much you can do about it.
These problems will affect your holidays. Pecans will cost more. One pound of pecans is now priced at around $17. And with Christmas right around the corner, you may be getting ready to pick out your Christmas tree.
Monica Cortez found out if last year's fires and droughts are affecting sales. She's live in the studio with the details.
That's right, Zach. New Mexico has experienced drought and wildfires, and I have found out how this has affected Christmas tree sales and what you can do to keep safe through the holidays.
Color Your World, Monica Cortez, News 22.
Alrighty, then let's go ahead and take a look at our national forecast. We are going to start off with New Mexico, specifically in the counties of Las Cruces, Otero, and El Paso. Now, they are in wind advisory, as you can see, everything in purple. We are going to be experiencing 25 to 35 miles per hour, as I had mentioned earlier. Now, everything in white that we are seeing here is the snowfall and snow advisory, so just be careful. Now, taking a look at our next map of the west, we are going to be seeing how those winds that I had mentioned earlier are making its way towards the south. And, well, like I said, we are going to be experiencing some snow here in New Mexico and other parts of the country like Arizona and Texas. Now, those winds are going to be picking up as the day progresses, as the night actually progresses, and tomorrow morning. Now, taking a look at our heat index, we are going to be seeing those temperatures in the 40s, 30s, and some 50s in the western part of the United States. And coming up next, I'll be telling you what we can expect here in New Mexico, so don't go anywhere. I'll be back with your local forecast.
Next on News 22, it's a way thieves around the nation are trying to make a quick buck, and states are trying to put a stop to it.
A local hospital has a machine that makes saving lives easier, the only one of its kind in the borderland.
And later, Halloween isn't the only time ghosts come out to taunt locals. News 22 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Zach Rael.
And I'm Brandy Lacon. Some breaking news just in. Police say a man is dead and 3 others are injured after a rollover accident just north of the Border Patrol checkpoint on Interstate 25. New Mexico State Police say 5 Mexican resident alien workers in a Ford Explorer when a blown tire caused the car to roll over, ejecting 1 passenger 30 feet from the car. The man was announced dead at the scene. The White House came to Las Cruces today when members of the Obama administration gathered at the convention center. They talked about the problems of Hispanic community and worked on finding solutions.
Cassandra Alvarez is live in the studio with the details.
The Hispanic Community Action Summit was an effort by the president to reach out to the Hispanic Americans.
The summit was an opportunity.
The next summit in New Mexico will be in Albuquerque, November 12th. Back to the desk.
And Monica Cortez was outside with our first weather forecast.
Thanks, Brandy. I'm out here behind the football stadium where the bonfire is going to take place tonight at 7 o'clock. As we can see, we are seeing a lot of pallets stacked up, so that's good news. We are going to be needing that heat tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at those current conditions. We are seeing partly cloudy skies for tonight. 58 degrees is what we are at right now. Our winds are coming from the southeast at 5 miles per hour. Our humidity is 49%, our dew point is 40 degrees, and our barometer is just below 30. Now taking a look at those highs for today, we did see a high below average at 61 degrees and an overnight low of 44. Now our record high was set back in 1979 at 88 degrees with the record low set back in 1997 at 32 degrees. We haven't seen any measurable rain for today, and yesterday we didn't have rain enough to be measured, so our yearly rainfall still stands at 3.09. And later on in the newscast, I will be telling you about that national forecast, so don't go anywhere. Back to you in the studio, Brandy.
Stay tuned. Monica will be back with the national forecast.
And later, I brave the Mesilla Valley's own haunted restaurant. See what I find out after the break. Memorial Medical Center in Las Cruces has equipment that's found nowhere else in the borderland.
And Amanda Orozco is live in the studio with the details.
That's right, Zach. That's right, Zach and Brandy. This equipment can target specific cancers right down to the millimeter. The chemotherapy machine has been at MMC since 2009. The next closest machine is in Albuquerque. Back to you, Zach.
And in other news, the search for more of David Parker Ray's victims has been called off for now. After only 2 days of searching Elephant Butte Lake, the FBI told us that water levels are historically low and that makes it difficult to search caves. An FBI spokesperson also told us that since the case was reopened, dozens of tips have been called in. A date for the search to continue has not been announced. Ray died in prison in 2002 shortly after he was sentenced to 224 years for kidnapping and sexually torturing two women who escaped from his home.
Occupy Wall Street finally reached Las Cruces, and several people gathered at Espina and Farney earlier today. Several signs like the ones you see here have been seen throughout Las Cruces, and protesters say they have a pretty powerful meaning behind them.
It's not just one idea, one solution. It's a bunch of different people collaborating, trying to make a new solution, which is what democracy is, and that's what we're all trying to do here.
I feel like our Congress members are having a food fight with food. Like, words are hitting each other and nothing's being absorbed and nothing's being negotiated.
People at the Occupy discussed several issues on the economy and politics. Another Occupy Las Cruces is set for tomorrow at noon on the NMSU Horseshoe. You can expect to see coverage of that tomorrow on our newscast. A TRC couple has now been charged with the death of a woman who was killed by their dogs. Last month, District Attorney Clint Wellborn said there wasn't enough evidence to charge John and Maria Hardman with a felony. But yesterday, after other people came forward with evidence about how the couple had handled their dogs, the couple was charged with 5 felonies, including 4 counts of having a dangerous dog. In April, Margaret Salciero was walking in her neighborhood when she was mauled by the Hardman's dogs. She died a few hours later at the hospital. The couple is being held on a $15,000 bond. And we asked you on Facebook if owners should be responsible for knowing if their dogs are dangerous. Trevor Peters from Las Cruces said yes, it's the owner's job. You can usually tell if your dog's is dangerous and how they won't act to people when they don't know them very well. And Anna Nunez from Las Cruces agrees, saying her dog is the nicest ever to her, but with strangers, her dog is aggressive.
The International Symposium for Personal and Commercial Spaceflight landed in New Mexico today. Although they set up at the Farm and Ranch Museum, the ISPCS brought in entrepreneurs from all over the world. CEOs and representatives from NASA, the FAA, and even Boeing were among those in attendance. They opened up realities even here in Las Cruces.
Outside of the industry, recognize the importance and the rapid growth that space is a reality closely upon us, and especially here in New Mexico with Spaceport.
The symposium draws people who are a part of the commercial space business. They network with companies from Sweden, Canada, and the United States. Learning and gaining from each other, the goal is to work together to foster a commercial space industry in the United States.